Hey everyone, this is Terry with homeschoolgardens.com. Today I'm checking in with my urban worm bag that I just set up 3 days ago. I took my Worm Factory 360 and dumped 3 trays in here. 2 trays that are still being processed and then the top feeding tray. And today I'm going to feed it for the first time. So I set it up 3 days ago, and as you can see, it's in a shower. This is a bathroom we don't use much, and a shower that we don't use at all. It needs a little bit of remodeling. So this is its current home. I should say, now that I set it up, it is not going to move from here unless it gets emptied, because this sucker is heavy with those 3 trays, and with the stand it doesn't actually fit through the bathroom door, or any doors really in our house. And so I'd have to take the stand apart a bit to get it through the door, which wasn't a problem putting it together, but it's heavy, so it's going to be a problem if I want to move it. I would have to take it apart. So I usually keep my worms outside in the garage most of the year, but it's getting hot here. It's beginning of April in Las Vegas, and so it's too hot in the garage right now, so I moved everything in, and this is where we are now. So this might be their year-round place to live until we remodel this shower. Then I'll have to come up with a new plan. So in those 3 days I checked in just to make sure that I didn't have any worms climbing up the sides, and I didn't. But I normally, with my worm bins, I don't like to dig through them. I've had a worm bin now for 5 years, and it just, based on what I've seen, I think the worms do better the less I disturb them. So it's really hard when you're setting up a new system, or when you're new to this altogether, to keep your hands out of the bin. But I think the worms really do better if we try to control ourselves and not play with them too much. So here is the top bedding that I cover everything with. It's just dry shredded newspaper, black and white print, and paper grocery bags. And so let's see if I can find some worms. Here we go. Now, when I did the top tray from the Worm Factory in here, all the trays had a lot of worms, but in the top tray we didn't have that much food. And so today I'm going to feed them. And so the worms are probably scattered all over the place up here, since I don't have a food source. Oh, here's some food. And here are some worms. I need a better light in here, hopefully soon. There we go. So there's a bit of food over there. And these big chunks here are little cardboard boxes that I tore up to put in the Worm Factory because it was too wet for a little bit. So I had them there to soak up the extra water in there. And all those little white dots on there are powdered eggshells, which acts as a buffer, a pH buffer. Alrighty, so when I feed, I like to do what they call pocket feeding. And pocket feeding is where you put it in a small area of the bin, and each time you feed, you kind of move it around in which corner you're going to feed in, and that's what I did with the Worm Factory. And with the amount of worms that I had in there and the amount of food I was feeding, one feeding would take up about half of the side of a tray. So it was really just switching between 2 different sides. Here, this is a bigger bin, so I'm just going to divide it up into 4 sides and just do the 4 corners. And we're going to start up here with today, and then at the next feeding I'll see that if that corner is mostly gone, and then I'll go into the next corner and feed that and continue working around the bin in a clockwise fashion. So when I feed, I usually keep a little layer of bedding underneath, of dry bedding. I have a bowl of food that I already prepared. I'll do another video in a little bit about exactly what I feed, but I wanted to show you, this is, I measure it, so this is 1.5 pounds of both scraps, food scraps, and shredded paper egg cartons. I always put bedding in with the food. I do freeze my food, but I don't blend it. Blending is a great way to overfeed your worms, which causes lots of problems. But I do chop it a little bit. Here, let me put this down so I can show you. So that's the egg cartons. I got some carrot peels, some bell peppers, some carrots, and there's some lettuce in here, and some cucumber ends, I believe. So, and the white specks are the eggshells. You can sprinkle a pH buffer on top of the feeding area when you're done feeding. I like to just mix it in. It's easier for how I have my kitchen set up and where I have everything. So that's why it's all mixed in together. I want to say if you're just starting out, this is not how much you're going to feed a new bin. This is not how much you're going to feed a new population of worms. Based on what I saw on the 3 trays that I dumped in here, I'm guessing I have around 3,000 worms. So this is a mature population. It's been around for a while. They're working hard and they're eating a lot of food. They're processing through a lot. But definitely when you're first starting out, this is not the quantity that you want to feed. You can apply the same principles of what to feed and how to feed, just not how much. When you're first starting out, you're really just going to feed a handful at a time, and that's it. But these guys have been going for a long time, so they're ready to eat a lot. So I'm just going to dump that into the corner. And then I cover it with paper scraps, with the bedding. You can never have too much bedding, but you can definitely have too much food. All right. And that's it. And so next time I feed, I'm going to feed in this corner, and I'll just go around the sides of the bin. And I'm not going to feed again until this one, until the worms are well into this. Usually I feed about twice a week in the Worm Factory 360, about 1.5 pounds each feeding, mixed with bedding and the scraps. But with this being a new bin, we'll see how it goes. I'll start there and maybe adjust it to see how the worms react. So there you are. This is day 3 of my new urban worm bag and their first feeding. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.